Hey, this is Mike. Welcome to Atomics on a Friday. Thank you for checking out this demo. If you would like, subscribe and like to get more content in the future.
Go into mitigations, but
Oh, yeah.
completely forgot about those.
You already said it. Just disable SMB. We're good. So
There you go.
I
There's
feel
your
like
mitigation
we've
tip for the
covered
day.
all mitigations.
No,
And PowerShell.
we'll touch on
Disable
it.
PowerShell.
Yeah, nobody uses it anymore.
No, that's not a top 5 or anything. I think that's over. Yeah, this is our first ever segment. I love how you're cracking a cold one open. I'm already out of coffee.
My nice, tasty LaCroix.
Oh, yeah.
Very classy.
This is our first mini segment called Mini AF. And so we decided that there was a lot of content for FRP, Fast Reverse Proxy, and Ngrok and things like that. And so I felt like we needed to just we had to segment this into its own thing. These are officially going to be called secure application ingress providers, which is amazing as an enterprise. I'm going to go buy a secure app ingress provider to blow through my firewall. And
buying a proxy.
Yeah, it's good stuff. So Ngrok just closed, which is awesome. For Ngrok, a little co, 50 million series is awesome. And so Ngrok's going to go from little toy to big toy. And now you're gonna have to take this through your accounting purchase process and all that kind of stuff because they're getting big, right? And so Casey Smith, Sub T on Twitter, has gone on about Ngrok and FRP, and there's other ones like Local Tunnel, and there's so many in this space. You can find so many of them on GitHub. People build these for fun, and the idea is that Bob in accounting is hey, or Bob in development is I want to share my website to Paul on the other side of the country, but I don't want to have to deal with IT and get them to open a port. And they're obviously going to say no because nobody wants to open a port to my workstation. So what better way than to kick up Ngrok and just auto generates the domain. I just pass that to Paul. Paul clicks it, accesses my little website so he could test it locally. And or pass it to the team on Slack, and everybody could pop it and play with it, do whatever, right? So so the joke here is you have your fancy $100,000 firewall with all this little threat stuff, and this just goes poof right out to APT. APT has full access to your machine, and your EDR, AV, next gen AI, EV, AV, E8 XDR license is moot at that point because literally it's got full access. And so for this particular demo for Ngrok is I just put a little web shell on my server, and I'm just going to pass the link to Paul here and let Paul just click it and play with it. I'll show it live here too, but yeah, it's super fancy. I don't know if it's fancy, but it's just super funny to watch these little tools become things and really big things. And so FRP in particular, Fast Reverse Proxy, on the right-hand side of our screen, is very similar in the sense that as an adversary, you'll set up FRP as your middleman or on a server somewhere. So in my case, I set it up on DigitalOcean. And then on the client side, they would just connect to your proxy, to the middleman, to the FRP server, and then you as the adversary on the other end would access it from there. But yeah, they're all very similar, same thing. It just blows past firewalls and everything like that. These things are great. As a developer, as an APT, you just want to get that quick access and that quick win. So here's the money. And then before I hop into this demo, because this is a little bit more detailed, I wanted to show this LSA protection one. We wrote a new atomic, and I'll ship that PR when we're done. I haven't done it yet, but basically enabling LSA protection will tell Windows to store the credentials in memory more securely for LSAS and all that. But what this particular adversary did before they left, I think it was day 1 or day 2 or something, I don't remember, it's in the timeline, They disabled it through a quick reg add, and they just changed it to like that 0. So it zeroes it out, reg add, pop it in there, run SPPL 0, and that was it. So it's like amazing. I was actually really surprised we didn't have this in Atomic Red Team, because we have so many like other things in Atomic. So writing that
digest as well, right?
Yeah, that was in there. Yep, that one's in there. But yeah, this one wasn't, which I was really surprised. But we got it, so I'll ship that PR. And I think that is it. I'm going to go ahead and we will jump into all these fun things then. I couldn't create like a FRP Atomic because infrastructure, lots of infrastructure, all that fun stuff. So I'm trying to think of where the best place to start here. I guess we'll just start with Ngrok. So Ngrok is as simple as going to the site. You can sign up and you get a little bit more features from it. And you can see their 50 million around at the top there, which is awesome. And it's as simple as literally running these commands. Like you want to SSH into a machine. Like if I wanted Paul to have SSH access to my machine, Ngrok TCP22, pass to Paul, he's in like instant. Like these things are just like straight up awesome, right? Here's your HTTP 80, here's like with domains. And then when you pay for it, you do have the opportunity to have like a custom domain. So it's no longer just hitting like ngrok.io. It's now going to be hitting bobspizza.com that I just, spun up as APT&CK and, I'm now using. So you wouldn't know it's Ngrok anymore. Maybe you would based on IP space, but otherwise I'm in and I'm out. So it's that awesome. Yeah. So it's as quick as that. Oh, go ahead, man.
No, just a quick question. Is it only just the Ngrok domain, or do they have like a few that they could potentially use or round robin?
Yeah. Good question. There is I think there's 5 total domains that they use, and I have a detection for that. Good question. Let me see if I hit the right keyboard key. Yep. So this is on the research.splunk site, and this is the Ngrok on network. And they are as simple as looking for like ngrok.com IO, and then their Ngrok tunnel site, and then they have it in backwards, Corgan.lenet.com. So it's just reversed. But yeah, that's kind of their commonality of their network side. So there's a lot to these little tools. They're great. Like I mentioned, you could pay for them and go at it. The other cool thing is once you do spin it up on a host, here it is, just like the simple, like, boom, like show me your help. It just gives you the quick examples. If you wanted to spin it up fast, HTTP 80. If you have a little website, again, you wanted to share, other little commands you can kick off and whatnot. What was I going to say? I think that's it for that piece. Oh, yes. It has a little website. You can hit localhost 4040. So if you wanted to like inspect the traffic coming in, hitting your web shell or whatever, you can do all that here, which is really like just so clean. What a neat tool.
So good.
But yeah. So so what I did is I just created like to make it as simple as possible. I just created another IIS website, and I added the ATT&CK web shell, which randomly is inside the Nishing project. And this web shell is just an ASPX. Kind of the neat thing about it is it's a web shell ASPX, but when you log in, you literally have like full PowerShell, and it's like that clean. And so you can run all your stuff, right? Like the most important thing is just obviously starting calc. It'll go and ship that off. It'll run that and do all that fun stuff. You can upload files, you can encode, execute, all based on just like a simple little shell. If you wanted to play with this at home, just change your username and password right here on line 14. Artifact wise, playing with that particular web shell, it's literally running PowerShell straight from W3WP. So it's a quick, easy find as you're playing. In quick blurb, Don't forget to hunt naked. And this is the, I feel like I need to post this and make a banner. But whenever you're using sysmon, make sure you're using your hunt naked sysmon config.
There it is.
yes, perfect. So yeah, so that is the Ngrok side. It's a little bit more in depth for FRP. I didn't realize that. And then alongside with FRP, I think it was like in the last 2 weeks, I'm hearing more about FRP being used by adversaries, which is kind of interesting. And as defenders, like you might want to start thinking about these things. The one in the defer report, so interesting like sidebar on this defer report for FRP. We were digging into it, and it looks to be a custom like adversary compiled version of FRP because the config is in it. And it's connecting back to the server, and then the adversary will take from there. So they call out in the blog that they only know that it's FRP based on like Yara rules. So that's the only way they know that it's what it is. And so what I did for my test here is I just got the release package here. Just go into releases, grab it for your Linux and Windows, whatever it may be. And then kick it up from there. Now, goofing with it, I found that there's obviously two like pieces here. You have the server side and the client side. And so what I did is simple enough as just kind of copying and pasting all of these things. And I believe I have it loaded up here. I'll just show my config. When you do download it, you get a full config, which shows you kind of all the different functions for the client side, which there's a crap ton. And then on the other side of it, for just a simple client config, I created this. I was testing some stuff for the web shell here. You can actually like host a little static file with it. It's kind of cool. And this is like the server side. So it's telling it to connect back to my server on the other side here. And I use a simple auth token, which all APT use. And let me flip back to the browser.
So,
yes.
Question.
Server, client. Yeah.
When you have that, so like in the case of the defer report, they potentially would have had the INI file come with it, right? It wouldn't just be embedded in the binary. You'd have to download the INI file with it. Yeah.
Yep, exactly. That's why I think from the report, it doesn't look like they had the INI or if it was like truly FRP.exe type thing, right? I think what they had literally was a potentially compiled one.
Like custom compiled, so they could have potentially embedded that information inside of it, which kind of jives if it was only matching via specific Yara config, and if you modify it to include that, so that way it's self-contained.
Yep. Yeah, when you look at the sample on VT, it doesn't really have any of like the standard FRP like artifacts like natively. It's not just like FRPC, So yeah, it's definitely a little bit different. Let me share the other side here. So this is the server side over here. So what I'll just kind of quickly show what is in the FRPS, the server side INI. Told it to give it a log because adversaries like the log, and your port, your address, things like that. So it's pretty simple. Ooh, man, my VI skills, they're on fire. I can get out of it.
Got out of it.
I know. All right.
The one thing that went right on a demo today.
Yeah. Now just see if I can start this. Okay. So that is now listening on 7,000, waiting for my clients. I know it comes off very like C2E, and I actually shipped a Twitter poll on this because I was curious how many folks out there are using FRP as something to front their C2. Pretty much out of all the hundreds of votes that I got, or out of all the votes I received, not going to say hundreds. Can't say hundreds. Yeah, out of the 12 votes was what's FRP, which is amazing. And no. So I highly suspect maybe red teams haven't began to help orgs in assessing the risk of like these like proxies, reverse proxies, and the orgs like that. Did I share my screen on that? Are you even seeing this? No, you're not. Okay.
No, sorry.
Be sharing because I'll even drop it in chat because it's so important. Yeah, basically nobody uses this, but apparently the APTs. We're calling everything APTs now. Good job, Mike. Okay.
Heck, to be fair though, I think this group is considered an APT.
Oh yeah, it's phosphorus, which is APT.
I don't remember, but yeah, I do think
35.
The one 35. Time we're like, we're going to do some commodity stuff, and then we pick APT.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so that is that side. Servers there. Now let's go back to our client, which is here. Looking at Twitter because he's our end user is busy on Twitter today.
So much work.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. So client side is literally kicking that off, and I'm going to let that run. It's connected. I'm going to flip back to server so everybody can see how late that is. So here it is checking in, and that's it. Like now I have my check-in to my C2 or my proxy. The idea would be to hit this address now. That was my next step because I totally forgot my demo. Like, what am I doing today? So let's hope this works. I'm going to try it before I even share it. Yep, it works.
Do it live.
Let's see. I don't know the username and password. I don't know the username password now.
Admin?
What was it?
I don't know. Is it the same as yesterday? Oh wait, no, that was the shell.
What was the one I gave you yesterday?
I don't remember. I don't think I hit the FRP. I hit the shell.
Oh, okay. What do you see on the screen? Let me reshare my machine here.
I see the FRP server.
Okay. Let me click it here. And let me reshare my Windows box because everybody has to see me fail at this. So boom, here is me attempting to access this. And I'm trying. Oh yeah, ABC. That's awesome. Okay.
Way more.
Why would I not use admin? I don't know. So yeah. There's the simple. I'm literally hosting a page off this machine, and like I'll ship this to the channel, or I'll put it in the Atomics on a Friday. There. It's all you want to click it and confirm that you can access it from random places on the internet. So it's literally blowing past everything. You're accessing my server hosted on DigitalOcean, which is then accessing my server on my client on AWS. And I'll show the server side for funsies. So that's what it is. Oh yeah, cool, awesome. Neat tool.
It is.
Back on here. Okay, we're hitting time. We're like over, and I knew we would because today's kind of a lot of stuff.
Long. Yeah, let's keep going. Let's hit the slides. I think that's it.
Oh, we didn't show LSA.
No,
okay. No. We didn't show.
Oh, you mean actually rip it? Oh, just copy and paste? Yeah, copy and paste it. Let's go.
All right. So yeah, I got this. So I wrote the test. I mean, it's so easy to do these things in Atomic. Yeah, that's it. And then if you want to flip over to here. Nope. I'm just going to leave that running because I want others to run stuff. Here we go. Okay. Invoke Atomic T1562, which I'm probably not correct on that. Show details. I am right. Okay. It's going to use the command prompt. Elevation is obviously required. It's going to do the reg add. And then if you want to clean it up, you can do the cleanup. So let me get some windows here. How about this? Bring this up. Okay. So magic, boom, done. And obviously you can go into the registry and validate that. I'm just going to run cleanup. Boom. PR will be in later today.
I know somebody to YOLO merge it.
Yes, that's all I need.
Approved.
Yeah, that's so simple. Yeah, man. Do you want me to dig into Splunk and look at any other artifacts from all this testing we've done today, or I
No,
had
I think
all the
just
Exchange
pivot to like
stuff
some of
and
your Exchange analytics.
okay.
'Cause I think we forgot to actually like document them, but we have them.
Yeah, for sure. So I guess I'll just kind of like bring it back to that. These are the IIS logs in Splunk, similar to what you had there, Paul. And I obviously had a different user because it just auto generates that. So yeah, very obviously all the same type of data, just in the Splunk format, which again brings that question of making sure things are parsed out properly, which I think some of mine is not parsed out properly. So want to make sure you got good parsing and your analytics will actually tap it properly. And that's just keying off the auto discover portion within those logs. The actual analytic we ship in Splunk is a little bit different here. And then other thing I wanted to show was this is one of the web shells. So I basically just searched for it. I ran this earlier today, but you can see, where this is in a couple different sources, I believe. This is coming. I have the Aurora EDR tool running. I have IIS logs, Exchange management logs in here. So kind of show that. But yeah, so what's one here? This is Sysmon, obviously capturing the file modification, W3WP, writing that shell ASPX into the OA path there. Those all kind of stand out. And then here's that ASPX, the request coming in. You'll see the post, you see the gets, somebody hitting some randomized, generated ASPX file. This right here, I believe, is coming from Aurora, my fancy EDR. Yep, this is Aurora's application event log. It's a little noisy. It's not parsed out. I don't have the TA, again, bad parsing. This does pull from the Exchange commandlet logs, which I'll show in just a second. But you can see here, this is the new mailbox export request occurring that's being captured there. And what else? What's this one? Boom. This is security event log. This is a event code 5145. Can't remember off the top of my head. 5145. Do you remember? This is just auditing, disk auditing, file audits, I think. But yeah, I think these are file audits for Windows, and they're going to be extremely noisy. Actually has IP port here too. I can't remember, but you see the ASPX here too. Lots and lots of artifacts, and I think as defenders, if you run these tests in your environment and you have all the logging, this is like such a great way for validation. Confirming that all these things are properly showing up. And yeah, my next one here. Oh, this is W3WP spawning command in PowerShell. I ran this a lot, so I hit this all time because I just wanted to show when you run the proxy shell or proxy not shell module in Metasploit, I mentioned it's kind of noisy, and you can see it literally drops these giant echoes, of base 64 on the endpoint. Spawn, so W3WP to command.exe, and it just bounces all kinds of stuff. And then if you go to the right here, these are just some additional things that are ran, either from both those modules or a couple POC codes that I've ran as well over time.
Yeah, the proxy shell is a little bit less loud. There's still a lot of good capabilities for it, but the proxy not shell is extremely loud. So it basically writes two VBS files, one's base64 encoded, and then runs the C script to write out the binary to disk and then call the execution of that. So the lineage is pretty insane. And that's what you're seeing with the Echo Oz. And that's if you go into the actual Metasploit module, you'll see kind of like what they're doing with it. But similar setup in the Exchange piece, but the actual like endpoint of what happens after post exploitation This is where like it's probably one of the loudest of it. So there's a lot of opportunities there.
Yep. And I think like it's definitely very good to play with the modules from Metasploit, even though they are very noisy. I think too, as defenders, you have to try multiple avenues. If you have an internal red team, obviously, like hopefully they're customizing these to like showcase like more evasive scenarios of, not running CSV file or VBS files on disk and things like that. There's so many artifacts from Metasploit alone. I just searched like that VBS in particular, just so, it's full screened. Can you still see me?
Yes.
We're good. Okay. But yeah, so yeah, there's a lot of, if you got your file mods and things like that, all that stuff will obviously shows up.
And even though we mentioned like changing it up and tweaking for variations, even you write something that is going to pick off the default setup, like you'll probably have good success, right? Can't tell you how many times and often frequently off the shelf, no change, straight as is, download from a repo, run it. It is verbatim. Like you can key off the exact things and get success. Not to say that's what you should just call it a day as, but that's like if you were to go put it in, you've increased your detection capabilities, and then you can then focus on variations, or if they start tweaking things, do I still have coverage? Do I need to change things? Of course, in the case of Exchange, like please go patch. Limit your external exposure to that, but there's still a lot of good things. And I think that's your Exchange management log analytic, yeah?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I mean, I wrote this particular analytic two ways. Exchange management logs, which hat tip you gave me, you had mentioned to me about, and that was money. And then the other one that I actually put these commandlets in is a 4104 query, because I feel like you should go obviously as many options as you can. If you're collecting 4104, it's money magic. Just to
for those who may not be familiar, what's 4104?
Script log logging. But yeah,
you gotta say PowerShell logging and call it a day.
I know.
Yes,
I know. I like the script log, PowerShell script log logging. Yeah, that's quite the money, because it does have it's just rich with everything, every script, right? But yeah. So, and then in this case, these are just the Exchange logs, commandlet logs, and you can see here there are the automatedness of this. So this is the piece, like I think of as your more I guess if you're using a red team instead of just using this as Metasploit, if you're using your red team, internal red team or something, or having a pen test, I would suspect these would look not so auto-generated, and you would want them to do the more evasive route of not having just like auto-generated. I just kicked off that standard default off the shelf, like you said. I would expect that to actually be like parameter name is something else, and my subject equals, Bob's files of the day, not webshell.aspx, right? All that kind of stuff. So, and most likely through like a pen test or red team, you would be using, Bob's account most likely to showcase the fact that it's, a non-administrative based account who's now dropping shells. So, but yeah. These are great logs. Let me back this out real quick. They're very verbose. I didn't realize how rich they were, and this is going to be nuts. But yeah,
that's only one. If you think about the amount of logs that Exchange has and capability logging, and is insane. Zach from the instant handling team and I were testing the proxy not shell yesterday, day before, and the amount of we looked at 20 to 22 different log sources purely from network share auditing.
Yep, that 5145.
5145. Thank you, Andy.
Yep. That's money.
But no, a lot of good stuff from that. Just that the downfall that we wanted, that I was hoping that we were going to solve, is to do some of the just some basic things like the three commands, which was add a user to that import export role, generate a new export request, then remove it.
Yep.
The one thing that we ran into that I couldn't figure out, and so maybe somebody can help out, is how can we get Exchange PowerShell, the PowerShell module? Because the way I found it was that you had to use the installer of Exchange in order to do it. So to use that in Atomic made it really difficult. But if there was a way to whether include the PS module or have it, if it's like